So you're ready for the epic raid race? It's epic raid race day here at Bungie. There's an epic raid race going on. Hashtag epic raid race.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to...
Ready to load up your best loadout and go into it and, absolutely clobber it. Get that world's first title.
Yeah, I could do it. I really could. If we had another 4 people. That's going to be the hard part, finding other people to play.
Yeah, that's to be rough. Well, I hear Glad's available.
No, he's not. He's taken himself out of the race. He's not available.
He wasn't available. He didn't say he needed a different team.
No.
And Astacross has no voice, so he may be dropping out of it. But I'm sure there's some other people running it somewhere.
I told you, this is the time that Datto wins. This is it.
So he's convinced Glad not to. He's taken out Astacross by, giving him the same sickness we all have.
Yeah,
that's his plan. He's just going to slowly work his way through the rest of the continent. That's what he was doing with the vault cleaning. He was planning, plotting, scheming just to take everybody out.
Welcome to the Two Titans and a Hunter Destiny 2 podcast, a show dedicated to bringing you the latest intel, the mightiest news, and the boldest opinions from the farthest reaches of the Sol system. Whether you're a bright-eyed new guardian, fresh from the Cosmodrome, or a battle-hardened veteran of the Red War, this is your Destiny destination. We'll arm you with tips, tricks, and tower-worthy tools to help you triumph, thrive, and revel in the glory of the fight. So without further ado, let's get on with the show.
Yeah, so you sound like you're doing great. I sound like I'm doing great. Everyone's great. We're all super healthy and not sniffling at all.
Yeah, this is going to be the best show ever of Sick Peroty and Sick Nitedemon, bringing you a sick game.
All the sickest news.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at the TWAB going, so we have an epic raid race. Mm-hmm. Yep. And an epic raid race. And there's an epic raid race.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's your TWAB for the week. Also, there's some broken things and maybe some things that we'll fix. There you go. There's the show. Record time. Done. Dusted.
Should we start with the TWAB this week? No, we'll start with the TWAB.
Roll the credits. We might as well, because there's just not a lot there.
No.
Yeah.
So by the time you've heard this, it should be over and done with. But we do know from past raid races that sometimes they take more than 24 hours. So it depends on who's trying to complete it, I guess.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. Yeah, I mean, it's like obviously there will still be people doing it. The streaming requirement for, I guess, if you actually if you just want to play and try it and have fun with it, you don't need to tell Bungie or anything. But if you're actually going for a capital world's first, with a belt opportunity and all that, they were like, fill out this form, tell us who from your team will be streaming, use the, I guess you didn't have. That's the part that was unclear because they're like, here's the stream overlay. And I was like, is that the one you have to use, or is that one you're allowed to use if you do want to cover parts of your stream? It's like, and then they tweaked it like yesterday or the day before, like right up before. It's like, do we not? Why are we changing everything last minute? Again, I mean, none of this affects me. I'm not racing. You're not racing. I'm going to try to remember to turn on Twitch somewhere and,
get your emblem.
Yeah, get the emblem, or at least watch maybe someone watching Bungie's coverage and just see how people are doing. But yeah, I'm so far removed from rating in this game.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's certainly a thing you could do, and I'm glad that people are out there doing it. But yeah, I'm like, I know nothing about this raid. I watched very little of the first raid race for basically the same raid. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting with the the streaming requirement, which feels like it's what most people are doing anyway, who are trying to get a world first, and all the extra stuff that they've turned off, in addition to just the normal. Here's a list of armor and weapons that we're not going to let you use.
It's really confusing. Bastion, the exotic fusion rifle, has been turned off. 1-2 punch perk, the Haliatus legendary rocket launcher, lightweight legendary swords against some exotic sword. It's like, okay, that's a weird list. But
Is there a bug we're not aware of with some of these? Is there a instance where you can one-shot bosses with the bug still, and that's why they've turned off some of these?
I still think there's an issue with the legendary lightweight swords that I think you can still do some of the damage, and people would, I think they were continuing to do it with after they kind of patched it on Tuesday. But
Yeah, Bastion.
yeah,
I don't know.
what's going on
It's
with
like,
Bastion?
yeah, right. It's like Bastion. Do we not like it? Is there just a strat where you can get more damage out of it, or are they just like, let's just not? Maybe we'll just won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always just, it's such a random list. I mean, much shorter list than it was last time, but I think that was because there was a lot of extra bugs with the with things going on. And I know the first, this is not like a brand new raid. I know they've tweaked it slightly, and they've done, added the epic, I don't even remember, honestly, the epic raid parts of it. Is just they've tweaked the encounters, because I think there's some speculation there might have been new ones. Yeah, I know people were saying maybe there are new encounters, but there didn't seem to be any from those who had sort of been peeking at the API and things. But I wonder if that's why Bungie's taking the game down for an hour this morning to go, haha, you can't peek at what's not there yet.
Yeah,
which I'm sort of hoping is the case. Of they're adding things here at the last second. Hopefully that work okay. But yeah, we'll see. What
I hope it is epic. I really do. I mean, I hope to God that it is really epic, and it does really well, and it entices people to come and play that raid. And going back to how they used to do the raids with the normal and the legendary version, or the master versions back in Destiny 1, I hope it's like that, so that people they get to the encounters and you have to do it in a certain way, or they've changed how it worked before, and it's got to be done something completely different. So, and added more encounters as well would be really nice. But I'm not sure with the player base as it is now. I mean, the 2 emblems are amazing that they're giving away if you complete it, even after. I mean, the epic version looks really cool. The normal version looks really cool. There's a belt again, and I think you were telling me last night, weren't you, that was it Glad that's pulled out?
Yeah, Glad that's sort of this. Yeah, I saw a video he posted. Then I saw a longer thing. I guess he posted to Twitter or something that I've seen other people talking about. Of basically just saying, I guess he was going to do it and had gotten, was part of a team, but just sort of said, I'm just not interested. It's just like, I'm not interested in practicing. I'm not interested in grinding. It's just, the amount of work that goes into, actually, we joke all the time about doing a day one raid and whatever, but like, if you actually are planning on doing the proper race and actually competing, like the amount of practice and loadout building and like prep you have to do to make sure you've got the loadouts in the game ready to go and you can cycle through them, and just the practicing of all those encounters and all those mechanics.
Yeah,
I'd be curious, like how many hours, again, you even just estimate how many hours do some of these folks put into just prepping for the world first, win, lose or draw, but like just prepping to actually have a shot at it, or to go in seriously with it. Like, it's got to be just so much time to sit and grind and get ready for it. And that's assuming you've been grinding, to the point where you're even a high enough light level to have a chance at it. But yeah, I think he's just saying, I'm just not feeling it. He's like, basically, I don't want to bring the vibe down of my team, who, if they're into it, I don't want to be the one screwing up and just not to say not caring, but like, I don't remember if those were his word, but yeah, just like, it's like my heart's not in it. I'm not super stoked about it. So it's like, I don't, it's either I want to do it all the way or none of the way.
I mean, we've said it before, haven't we? The raids have changed from Destiny 1 to now, with like giving away belts and things. And it used to be, you'd have a raid and you'd have a chance at getting the world's first. And originally there weren't any belts behind it, but then they gave belts retroactively to the teams that actually won. And I think one of the issues that he's got, Glad, is that he did the Leviathan prestige mode with his team, that he got a world's first.
Yep.
And they weren't giving belts away at that point. But when they did start giving belts, and I think I watched Lucky 10p's video, he said that they started giving away belts with the Last Wish. And then they went back and retroactively gave belts to kind of Vault of Glass, Crota's End, so on and so forth. But they didn't give him and his team one for the Prestige, and he doesn't understand that they gave a belt away for the world's first for the Desert Perpetual the first time round, and now there's an epic raid version. So it's like, why didn't I get my belt? And I could understand that. I would be hanging on to that as well. I'd be quite upset that they retroactively gave those belts away to the world's first teams and missed him out with his team. But now we're giving a belt away for a normal version and an epic version going forward. And I can see why that would be one of the things that for me would go, if you didn't care enough to give me a belt then, I don't really care about your raid now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, especially, if you're hard on it to begin with, and you're going, I'm not, the game's not in a good enough spot where I've been playing and grinding it, really enjoying it, and really looking forward to this. It's like, why? And I just wonder how many. Again, like I still think there's going to be a good number of teams competing because there always are. There's still people who are going to go and at least just have a good time with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wonder. Like I said, like I'd seen him stepping away, and Astrocross I think is just dealing with like some health issues. I saw Liv had voiced one of his most recent videos, so he's dealing with something health related, and I think I saw a tweet or something from him saying, "Hey, may or may not be able to do this. It just depends on how I feel."
Yeah,
and that's just gotta be. I mean, that's gotta suck too if you're planning to do this and then you for some reason the day of, or again for all the people who had taken last weekend off work or prepared for this last weekend and made plans and worked around, and then now all of a sudden, we're gonna push it a week. And now you can't participate, and you were planning to. Like that's got to be a little just defeating. Thinking you've done this, you've practiced, you've prepped, and then just kidding, we moved. Well, I've got a wedding to go to next weekend, or I have there's something now this weekend where I'm not around to participate, and just it's got to just deflate a little bit. I mean, not more than a little bit. Just looking forward to this thing and then going, I can't actually do it. Oh, sorry, we moved it. Now something's come up.
Yeah. And we know we did hear that the world's first team, some of those members that did the first time around with the Desert Perpetual aren't going to be participating in the Epic Raid. They just like, no, we're not doing that. So yeah.
I think I saw maybe they were still waiting for their belts. I mean, again, I don't know how long. I know these things. These are proper like metal belts. Like these take time to build, just like everything else. All the raid jackets, it takes months to ship out. So I don't know when people have gotten their belts in the past, but it's like you're going to give them to those guys, right? Like that's on the way. Like you've communicated, you're aware that this is coming, and
yeah.
It seems like everything's just a little more up in the air, a little more tenuous than in the past. Where just because of list the laundry list of reasons of all the reasons that the game is just not in a great spot right now, not even in a good spot, really.
No, I mean, we go back to the whole thing of them removing stuff and then just putting stuff in the portal. And if you're not doing the raids, what are you grinding power for? What are you grinding the tiers for your armor and your weapons? There's no real kind of thing there. There's something tangible that you can beforehand. If people weren't playing the raids, we'd be off playing dungeons together, or we'd be doing other 6-man activities together. We'd be doing the seasonal content and trying to get all those triumphs done, or even just kind of playing Crucible, Trials, Iron Banner, and things like that. But it just seems that if you're not gearing up to do the raid, there's no real incentive. And if you don't want to grind to get to the raid, or get into even doing the epic raids and raiding, it just seems to be, what is there? And I think that's some of the reason why people aren't tuned in with what's happening with Destiny at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like if you're, the grind to get to 400 and 450, 500, 550 for what? I've been watching Poor Cheese Forever crashing out via YouTube and text posts and stuff about, and I can't remember if it was something he said or if it was a comment on one of his videos. It just feels like we're working with like 4 or 5 different progression systems, and none of them really work together. And it's so hard to keep track of, like, what. Even if just someone would come up to you and say, "Hey, Demon, what's the power progression today? Like, what's the game like? Is it worth?" And it's like, I don't know if I can give you a good answer to that, Because it
No,
just
because
feels
it
like
changes week
it
to
changes
week.
constantly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, beforehand, I know Cheese would even put a video together. I think he said in one of his videos he spent did a 45-minute video of explaining where to go on the director to go and get powerful pinnacle rewards and how to get yourself leveled up in past seasons. Now you just can't do that. I mean, I think at one point, I think season 21 or season 20, when they changed the pinnacle and the powerful, we actually made a video and went through, if you go to this person, you can grab this one. If you go to this person, you can grab this one, swap over the characters, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like you try and explain to people what to do, and then by the next week it's changed, or that Bungie have slightly tweaked it because there's been issues with, or there's been bugs that, and it's really confusing.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, it's just so hard to keep track of week to week. What have you changed, and just what have you changed, and also, is that actually what's happened?
Yeah.
You say this changes in the game. It's in the patch notes. Does that reflect the reality of if I go play, am I actually going to see this number of drops? Will this chest exist? There's just so much uncertainty around. Yes, we've said this is what's happening, and it just simply is not the case. Because it was missed, or it was, it was communicated as being released, but then pulled at the last second for, again, whatever reason. Yeah, again, like it just feels like there's never been a more confusing time. I mean, that's why so many people have fallen off and just, stopped doing build or content creation or just explaining how the game works, because it's just so hard to explain how the game works. Yeah, what do I do? Where should I go? What is worth my time? What's rewarding? If I'm playing with a friend and they're a very different light level than I am, what's worth my time to do for both of us? Is there anything I can do for both of us that's not going to make one of us just play and get nothing out of it, and the other one is very rewarding too? I still don't feel like I can answer that question.
Yeah,
it still just feels like I don't know, and it's so frustrating not to have a good answer to, what should I be doing? What could I be doing? What's going to be enjoyable to do, and what's going to benefit both people doing it? Which feels
I think
insane.
the thing is these days, just find a game mode and play it. Like play Crucible, play Gambit, or just do some Fireteam Op stuff and play around with builds. And I think that's the only thing that I'm finding fun doing, is kind of finding some builds, testing them out, and then just going off and playing.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, again, I think we've mentioned it every single week, but just the fact that the loadouts lock on everything, it just ruins your ability to try out new weapons or new guns, or, hey, I hope you have the things you have on that you wanted to go do this activity with, because if you don't, you've got to back out and swap them out. Oh, you forgot to put on your anti-barrier mod. Yeah. And you don't have an anti-barrier weapon. Well, now you cannot complete this activity because they're barrier champions. And there's, there is no swapping of weapons. Like, what's the point of having game modes where you just cannot swap any weapons around any of the time? Like, it's just a little insane. Like, if you wanted to do a not swap-ish modifier and something, but like, these are PV. Like, this is solo ops. This is fire team ops. Like, these are not raids. These are not dungeons. This is like I understand they need, they're still trying to figure out how to stop the power creep. I mean, that's been that's their ongoing struggle from, years ago, from the Reckoning and everything onward of
but
how,
the thing is,
how to slow us down. But like, this just feels
that's
so
what
bad.
I don't get. That's what I don't get, is that they've already told us that they're going to be slowing us down. Everybody's being knocked back down to 200 come
Right.
December. So what is the issue with, for like the first couple of months, everybody grinding to get, or even just being able to get to 500 without even trying? It doesn't matter how fast it goes, just give them the rewards, give them everything that they need to get to 500. And then when we're at 500, the tier 5s are just dropping, like, it's just raining down tier 5s. And I think people would be happy at that point, because they've been able to play and get, +7 light on early parts of the gear, up to +5 when you're kind of doing 400 to 500. And then when you're at 500, then kind of try and rein it in so that people then have to grind to get even higher, and give them a reason to go even higher. there's at the moment I hear people saying there's no point in going any higher than 470 or 530. But if there was those reasons to go higher, people would do it, and just let us just get to 500, because there's no issue, because you're knocking us back down. You're giving us a reason why, that every season, every major update, you're going to be knocked down to 200.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're resetting us all, and then coming up with this thing. We'll get to it in a little bit. Coming up, they're going to push everybody to a floor of 300 now in this update coming mid-October, and it's like, okay, so why now if we're just going to knock everyone back down again? Like, I mean, I know to a degree some of it is, there's a sinking ship and they're trying to bail the water out and come up with a plan, and there's only so much you can do with short-term fixes, but it just continues to feel like it's just every day, some new wrinkle, some new version of.
To be honest, I think they need an emergency conference with content creators that are actually trying to help them and give them feedback and say, right, you need to do this, you need to do that. This would entice people to come back, because those people are in touch with their communities and they're trying to help Bungie. It's free testing, basically. You need to you need to have another summit of content creators, even if it's like a remote thing. Just have people come in or do it over like Skype or whatever. Is it Skype anymore? Is it Teams? Microsoft Teams. Do it over Microsoft Teams and get people chatting and see what you can do to work out. I think that's what they need in the short term to kind of fix things to get people back playing the game.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, that's the perspective we're never going to have is, do you know what you need to do, and it's just going to take, it's going to take us 6 or 9 months to get there because game development takes time, or are you still at the point of, not being sure what to do, or not having again, I don't know.
I think if there was a conversation with creators, and then creators were able to then relay that back to the communities, I think that would help as well. So if you had a summit and the content creators were able to kind of give their feedback, and then Bungie were being able to be honest with, well, we can implement this or we can't implement that. We can do this in the short term. We can do this in the long term. And then the content creators were able to come back and tell us, this is the case. This is the situation. We're going to have to wait for this, or this can be done next week, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's something to this. And also, again, just thinking back to like when Edge of Fate launched, I mean, that was sort of our first looks at Edge of Fate and everything was, through the lens of the content creators who, I mean, again, Bungie did invite out and said, here's a game, get some hands-on experience with it, go ahead, record, make content, whatever, bring your perspectives back to your communities. And have those conversations, like you said, the creators know their communities, Bungie's not going to be able to hit every single person with every single thing. But if, you get enough different diverse creators who are focused on different parts or different aspects of this game, it'll at least give you a better picture of what's going on. And it's just, and it's like you've got DMG out there and you've got, the community team, but they can only do, they can only hear and see so much. And they're going to, and so much of their feedback is going to be filtered through the LOL dead game, just people memeing on, the one or two accounts they know. Whereas, creator can have that. Like I was watching Fallout's channel the other day, and he was just like, let's just have, like, they were watching, I can't remember if it was the reveal stream where they talked about like the Vanguard, not Vanguard token, the Vanguard orders, basically saying, hey, we're going to introduce the Vanguard orders and it's going to be this and going to be that. So like he was playing, like that part of the stream and then saying, hey, chat, let's watch this, couple minute section. And then I want to just, have a conversation. Would you engage with this? Is this interesting? And basically he threw out questions like, hey, if this were a win, like if this were an absolute unmitigated win, what would that look like? If the Vanguard orders thing was just, was absolutely perfect, what would that mean to you? Because and that's the point he was making too, is just, perfect is different for everybody. My perfect is different from your perfect. And then he was like, hey, if this was an absolute lose, like if this was an absolute just L on launch and just the worst thing they could have done, what does that look like? Just, again, trying to sort of, have that community conversation. and sort of get some of that insight into, what does a win and a lose look like for you in Destiny? Because again, it is so different for everybody. But just trying to have an idea of, because obviously he has his own perspective, but just, in his community, what things would make you go, oh man, this is incredible, I have to come back and play it, versus this is not even worth my time. This would drive me away from the game even more, not bring me back.
Yeah.
And just having those conversations, because Bungie's in damage control, that much is obvious, but it just, what's our plan past damage control? I think, like you said last week, it'd be good for our new CEO guy or someone, whoever's running the ship, to come out and say, level set with us. Hey, here's where we are. Here's, it's not going to be fixed tomorrow, but here's the plan. Here's what we're looking to do.
Definitely. Well, if people do complete the Epic Raid, so you can complete the Epic Raid up until, I think, December 5th. If you complete it before December 5th, 9:59 a.m. PT, you're eligible to purchase the Desert Perpetual Raid Ring and other stuff that they'd already said before. So you can still get the jacket, the bag, the pin. There is still some Desert Perpetual stuff to get, even after they've done the contest mode. So the ring does look nice, and the jacket looks kind of cool. In the TWAB this week, they also then go on to talk about bringing back the raid night. And I watched Clyde's video this week, and it was much like Cheese Forever's video, which we'll kind of get onto later on, that he was discussing bringing back this raid night and having to put different feats on to get the gear and the bonus gear tiers that you can kind of get from the drops, and what you kind of get weekly and for the different tiers of power that you're currently in compared to what it's going to be. And he was saying that what they're going to change it to, there's really no reason, or I think it was more like he doesn't understand why it's so high to have 5 feats on and you get a guaranteed tier 5 chance. That should be lower. He said it should be at something like 3 feats, you should get a guaranteed tier 5 gear, because when you put 3 feats on, you automatically get the not swap modifier on. And he went over where they said, it's going to be, if you put more than 3 feats, or I think if you put 3 feats on or more, the not swap modifier automatically comes into play. And he was saying, if you put this tier, this feat on and this feat on, or this other one over here that counts as 2, that's really hard. And the power deltas for these encounters and having to do them. And he said that, regular raiders will probably struggle to get 5 feats. But if you're kind of putting on 3 feats, it's still challenging. It's not. He said he doesn't understand why they've raised the bar so high to get guaranteed tier 5s, and the power of the drops that you're kind of getting from 400 to 500 and then 500 plus are absolutely ridiculous. It's like, why at 500 I'm only getting +2 in my light? Why am I not getting +3, +4? It's a raid. It's pinnacle stuff. But if I go and play portal stuff, it's the equivalent, and I can do a portal run of X, Y, and Z in less time and get 3 or 4 drops, whereas you're just giving me that there. It makes no sense. And his argument was very similar to Cheese's, but he was more focused on this of like them raising the bar in the raid and going, oh, look at this fantastic thing we're doing, and we're going to make it easier for you. He's like, it's not.
Yeah, and it's not, and it's not viable enough. Like, this is the only raid where you can get tiered loot at this point. Like, this is the only raid that's in the portal system with the tiered drops. This is the end game. I mean, there until the dungeon comes out, and there is nothing else. To your point of what am I grinding to 450 or 500 or 550 for? Should be this.
Yeah.
Why am I not getting? Why is this not an easy? Hey, if you want the best loot in the game, go do this raid. It is a struggle. You will have to turn these things on, but this is we should be able to say unqualified. This is the best place to get gear in this raid. In this game at a high level. If once you pass the 400 threshold or whatever, this is where you should be. Like, if you really want the best stuff the game has to offer, this is where you go. And it really doesn't feel that way. It's like, yeah, you could do this and maybe you get a chance at something, or you could just continue to play portal activities and you're going to be better off, which feels insane. It's like, what is the point? Like, unless you're interested in raiding and you've got a team, or you can, God help you find 5 people to raid with on a, mechanic heavy raid. I mean, like, doing this is not doing Crota's End or even Volta Glass, a lot of the earlier raids. This is a mechanic heavy raid where you need to all participate and know what you're doing. And then the rewards being questionable at best.
Yeah.
I just, like, what kind of sales pitch is that? Like, I couldn't say that with a straight face. Yeah, guys, you should come back and you might have a chance at something good, maybe, if you make it super hard
if you
succeed.
If you measure up what they're asking you to do with, say, putting 5 feats on, and you are guaranteed a tier 5 chance and getting so many spoils, you measure that up against what we had with raids, and you went in and you did like the hard version of each raid, the master version of the raids. I don't think the feats are the same. If the feats are much more difficult compared to what we had in the master versions of some of the raids, and it just. I know that people said, "Oh, we want things to be harder," but come on, it's fine for those things to be there to challenge people to be harder. Award them with emblems and cosmetics that they can show off to say, "I've got this." Whereas if you do like 3 feats, which is the equivalent of doing like a Master Vault of Glass, Master Crota, Master Root of Nightmares, things like that they still get the tier 5 stuff to drop from there. But if they go above that and they do 4 feats and 5 feats, you then have chances at like the cosmetics to drop, a limited shader, an animated emblem. It's just something that would really kind of go, oh wow, you've done this. Not right, you can only get tier 5 guaranteed at this. And I know it says you can get a low and a medium at 3 and 4. But that's not the way that we should be playing it, because we could walk into a Vault of Glass, having done Vault of Glass all these years, and do the master version and do it how they wanted us to do it, and still get the best gear out of that, like the time lost weapons and the harrowed versions of the weapons in Kingsfall. Just, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's been a conversation around, has Bungie, gone too far for the casual, too far for the hardcore player? But it really does feel like this is them, giving all the people who really want the hardest challenge they can possibly find. They say, "Oh, here you go. We have given you the hardest challenge and the least rewarding experience. If you're, the hardest core of the hardest core, here you go. Here's your challenge." And I think it was. I can't remember now who it was I was watching this week on YouTube. Basically saying, most casual raiders or people who are trying out raiding are not, they're not doing all these feats. Like, this is not for them. Like, I think he was saying, like 3 feats and above is absolutely not for them. So it's like, this is for the hardest of the hardcore. Great, but like, what is there for everybody else? What is there to get you into this raid? Like, have they gone too far in sort of the wrong direction of maxing out the difficulty at the expense of everybody else? Again, especially with the rewards not being there, it's such a hard. I'm just thinking back to the friends I have, people I know that were playing Destiny, that were raiding every week all the time and doing all the challenges and the feats, and they've long since moved on, and there's. I think about having a conversation with them saying, hey, hey, this new raid dropped, blah, 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 you should come back. And it's like, I can't really say, yeah, no, you should come back. It's great. Like, there's just nothing there for, hey, you should come back and do this because, like, it's that because, I don't know, it's such a hard sell. And I don't know, I'll be curious to see how the Epic raid goes and just how long it takes people and what their experience is like. Honestly, like, I'm sort of like, hey, is this? I mean, it's obviously, raid races are stressful. They're fun, but they're still stressful. There's still a lot of work and a lot of time. But it's like, are you having fun? Is this like, was this a good experience still, or did this one feel different in a way? I don't know. I'm just, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I was trying to look and see what the feats, like, just what the feats were, but I can't even see when I go to Desert Perpetual. I can load it up as normal, but I can't. There's no other option. Like, I assume I have to beat it on normal to see the feats, because again, I've heard about the feats and 3 feats and 4 feats. I don't know what the feats are offhand, and I was looking to see if they were. I mean, again, I assume it's like similar things we've had in the past, like each of you have to hold this buff and do it, or each of you have to take turns, or you have to do this in a particular order. Again, like I'm familiar-ish with like the challenges and stuff from like Volta class and other raids, but yeah, it's just like, so what are these feats? What are these feats all about? What are you being asked to do? And yeah, I can't even see what they are, what they could be. Not even, I can't even see them in the game.
No.
That's really like what's really been in my mind these last couple weeks more than ever is just how much of Destiny relies on the content creator community to explain Destiny.
Yeah.
And just how, a lot of those creators, a lot of those voices that are missing, or that are taking a step back, or taking time away, or doing other things, and how much of it is like, oh, there's and yeah, it's like there are other people who do builds or do guides and things, but there's just that extra layer really of explanation for the game that's just not there, because Bungie's never been good about explaining how their game works to us. And now that there's sort of, not those voices that we're used to looking toward and going to, again, just to explain, hey, what do all these changes mean? What is my experience playing this game going to be like this week versus last week? Hey, I'm because I feel like they've been pretty good. Bungie's been pretty good about explaining, hey, at 500 or 550 or 400, here's what your experience will be. Which, yes, I mean, is a problem for everybody sooner or later. But for all of us who are not at that top level, what is my experience going to be like? What should I be playing? What is worth my time? And there's just so much of that I won't say we take it for granted, but just that there's so much of that is lost now.
Yeah,
that we don't have those other voices sort of helping to explain the game and saying, hey, here's what's different. Here's what this is going to mean for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the feats are basically the modifiers that you can have that increase the raid's difficulty. So and the quality of the loot, as we've discussed. So they've got things like token limit, which restricts revives, phase race, which requires you to defeat the boss in fewer phases, and then additional powerful enemies, cutthroat combatants. Just the amount of things that you can kind of put on that. I'm guessing like you said, you'd have to kind of complete it to actually unlock it to see what the feats are. So, yeah. But now we come to the upcoming portal and progression changes, which Cheese Forever made one video, and he wasn't happy with one video. He went and made a second video. And for a guy that normally spends a minute and a half telling you about something in the game, to make a 10-minute video twice is definitely an achievement. So Bungie are basically saying, last week they previewed some big changes that we're making regarding power progression, rewards, and the portal. And today they're ready to share an update on those changes along with more details on what you can expect in coming updates. So they're going to speed up the power climb across the board when update 9.1.5.1 launches on October 14th. So it's a couple of weeks away. These changes will focus on solo ops, fighting ops, and pinnacle ops. And they'll be making similar changes for the Crucible ops and the Desert Perpetual raid in a later patch. So they've got a little kind of chart of what the difficulty is, what the milestones are, what range of power you're going to be in, and then the grades of from C up to A+, and what you're going to what you currently get for your plus whatever in light, and what it's going to be going to. So, for example, if you are from range 10 to 100 light, currently, if you get a C rating in whatever you can kind of complete, you get a +4. That's going to +5. But then when you go to the other end of the scale, if you are doing ultimate difficulty and you're in diamond milestone, so that's 500 to 550, if you get a B+, it's going from -1 to +1. A is going from +1 to +2, and A+, +1 to +2. And it's like, really? What's the incentive to get an A+ then? Because I could do an A and still get a +2. And the same with the Grandmaster, which is 400 to 500. An A rating is +2 to +3, and A+ is +2 to +3. And it's like, yeah.
So it's more, but I mean, at least they're adding to it. But I can't, like none of this. These all seem like such, like such small incremental steps. Like, okay, let's make this a little higher. Let's make this a little higher. Like, aren't we well past the time for a little higher? Aren't we?
Yes.
You would think, aren't we past the time for saying, hey, let's, even if we're just saying, hey, this is only going to be for the next 3 weeks or the next month or until Renegades drops. Turn that knob up. I'm not saying it has to go to 11 necessarily, but closer to 10 than 1. I mean, it feels like we've just they've taken such. I mean, but Bungie loves a swing of overpowered to useless and back again, but it just feels like they've been so tentative with any of these changes. It's like, okay, we'll make this slightly better for you, slightly better for you. Oh, that wasn't quite okay. Here's another one. Like, guys, like come on, like we need to do more. We need to go higher.
Well, they are going to give us bonus stuff. So the bonus engrams that we kind of get at the moment, the little green ones that you get in the portal activities, it says, +3 bonus things. Those are actually being brought up to power as well. So that's a good thing. So that means that any extra ones that you do get, you do get like an A rating and it gives you a +3, whatever drops that you get there, you're going to get all in +3. So that's a good thing. It's, and I didn't realize until I was kind of watching Cheese's video and trying to understand where he was kind of coming from, because with what you kind of do at the moment, because he was saying at the moment he can go into, I think he's in the ultimate difficulty, but for instance, I'm only in Grandmaster, so he was explaining that if you go into the player stakes and you adjust the player stakes, I've been kicked out. You can adjust the player stakes on your character and get a better rating without having to put on the modifiers that then give your enemies plus like 10, plus 20 and raise that up higher. You can get like a B+ or an A from just adjusting the stakes. And he was saying that he can be, I think it was again in ultimate difficulty, he can be 15 light above his enemies and still get an A rating or a B+ rating and get the +1, +2 drops in what he's doing at the moment with the in the portal system. And he said the unfortunate thing is that in 2 weeks' time, when they change this over to their new system, they're going to make it harder, because if we go down further, it says for like the portal ops, they're going to be changing the deltas of each difficulty. So normal difficulty, the delta cap is 0. Advanced, it's going to be -10. Expert -15. Master is -20. Grandmaster is -25. And Ultimate is -30. But he was saying currently he can play Ultimate and be above his enemy's power and still get the drops. Whereas this new change that they're kind of implementing is that the enemies he's fighting he's going to be -30 regardless of whatever, because of the way that they're putting these deltas in. So even though Bungie is saying that they're hearing people say, I have to be plus this, plus that, I'm 60 below to even get a +2 or +3. Cheese was saying it's because those players aren't using the stakes. If you use the stakes and put on more stakes, that doesn't affect the power of the enemies. Now, with the stakes, it's things like completing it under the time limit, starting with no special and heavy ammo, having locked loadouts, having I think there was one for health as well.
Yeah,
your health is really high, but you have to do certain things to get it back. And he was like saying
no HUD, all that stuff,
and the no HUDs and things, that doesn't affect the enemy's power, but it helps you with your player's score. And he was saying that in nearly every activity that we get, when you go into the activity with like no ammo, there are ammo boxes literally as you start. If you look around for them, or you've got it on your ghost to detect these things as you run past, there's heavy ammo, there's special ammo boxes just dotted around. You kill the enemies, you get those things to drop. Things like that aren't hard. And he said at the moment he can do X, Y, and Z and get like the +1, +2 drops in his light. But with these changes that are coming up, they're going to force players to be -30, -25 against enemies before you've even kind of started putting on modifiers, which doesn't make any sense. And it wasn't until I kind of loaded up the game and I played around with the states to see what he was talking about. I was like, I don't understand, because when I've messed about with it and I've tried to get like +2 or 3 in light, because I'm at 420 at the moment, and I've put on like more modifiers and really lowered my power. So I could see where people are saying, oh, I'm -60 to even get this and that. But again, I hadn't played around with the stakes as much, and tried to steer clear away from kind of the I think it's the Touche one where you have to have all new gear and things like that. So sometimes I'd lock the loadout, but it depending on what I wanted to kind of rock with champions, because you automatically get champions and things the higher up you go.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, just listening to you describe all this, and having watched Cheese's videos, a part of it is I keep coming back to, this is just all so complex and convoluted.
Yeah.
Like there's so many levers and bars you can pull, and it's not, it's like, I don't know what Bungie could do to make this easier to understand. About, like you're saying, you don't need to be 50 or 60 below to still get a good score. I mean, I think, even because I think he was also saying like the estimated, like that basically, I think the guide most of us use is, hey, this says all going to B plus or all going to an A, estimated for doing this. That's sort of the metric we as players look at and use to say, is this, have I set this hard enough for it to be advantageous for me to get good rewards out of this? I think he was saying like that doesn't take into effect some of the stakes and stuff. Like some of these like sort of aren't figured into that. So you're sort of making things harder than you need to be to still get good rewards. Like you're making things artificially difficult because it's not clear, because everything is based on you might get this, you may get up to this. It's not, you're going to get this drop from it. It felt like things were more predictable before. And now, even though we have more, quote unquote control over it, it seems less predictable than ever. What am I actually going to get for doing this activity?
Yeah.
What's the range of things I'm going to get from doing this activity?
Well, they are going to try and solve it with simplifying the modifiers for solo, fire teams, and pinnacles. So the challenging modifiers will no longer adjust your activity combatant delta by -10, -20. So those are the ones that you can kind of like putting on, like the one where you have like screebers and caltrops and frontal shields and things like that. Or then if you kill like a Vex, it drops a pool of Radiolarian that burns you, or if you have like Shanks that have solar shields and things like that. So those things that also push the power up of your enemies and push you kind of down are being taken out of it. But I think the thing, like with Cheese was saying, that you can work around those things and still not be at -30, which is what he is working in Ultimate. At the moment, I can do something and I'm not -25 in Grandmaster, and I can still get +1, +2 drops. But going forward, you're going to be at -25. But what's then? What's the advantage of then putting on those modifiers apart from making the score go up? It's just yeah.
It's just like, at the end of the day, we all want to know what, how hard do I need to make this so that when I do complete it, one, it's easy enough for me to complete at all, because, running into a hard activity with a 1 revive and a fire team of 3, not necessarily a recipe for success. Assuming I can get through this, what am I going to get from it? And how, am I making this so much harder than I need to be because I think I need to, max out all the difficulty for it to even be worth my time? Like, it's just, they've given us all this freedom and flexibility, but not a good enough understanding of how to use it and how to set things up. And I mean, I think this is just another aspect of, not having an army of content creators, sitting us down and explaining, this is how the portal works. These are the things you should be changing. These are the things you don't have to change to still get, the good gear you want out of this. The high, get your high tier rewards, your plus, your plus whatevers to your light level or to the tier 5s once you get to that point.
I think the thing is, when we had the Ashenine update and the deltas went from 400 and 450 up to 500 and 550, they should have brought the engrams up with it. So if you're sitting in Grandmaster at the moment, going from 400 to 500, you should be getting +3 and +4 drops for doing B+ and A respectively. I don't understand why now I've hit over 400, I'm in the Grandmasters, and I'm only getting +2 at max. You just
Right,
it makes that 400 to 500 grind just why? I mean, I really enjoyed playing Iron Banner last week because I was getting 2 or 3 drops per game that were pushing me up +1, +2. But I wasn't kind of paying any attention to it, so I was slowly going up, and it was quite enjoyable to play. Whereas this week when I've played, it's like, oh, this is a grind because
you were having fun just playing the game and gaining light level from playing the game and having a good time with it
without even seeing it.
Yeah, versus saying, well, what do I need to spec into? I need to actually go, plan this out and figure out what I'm going to do and what I'm going to get from it. Yeah, I have the same experience. It was so much nicer just to, play the game for fun. Just say, I'm going to load into these Iron Banners, and just swap back and forth between Eruption and Control, whatever was giving me a modifier at the time. Play a couple rounds of that. Go back to the portal or the tower to clean out the postmaster. Then, okay, which one's giving better rewards now? All right, let's play a couple rounds of those. It's like that's the grind I've been doing and just going, I'm going to play this until it's, while it's fun, and on the weeks that have things up that I really enjoy. And then this week I've kind of barely played. Honestly, I've been working on my Gambit gilding. One, because that is the thing that I enjoy doing, and two, I'm just I'm coming up to that 400 light level, and I'm just going, there's nothing, I could go into the portal.
Because you're not an epic raider. We're not raiding anyway.
Right.
There's no dungeon to do.
Yeah, I don't, the fire team op stuff, the modifiers are annoying. And again, there's nothing in the current weapons that I'm like, oh, I know I can get another SMG or I can get another, set of arms. I don't need anything in particular. And it's just, there's none of the rewards look interesting. And I refuse to sit in solo ops and grind my face off. None of that is interesting to me. And the Pinnacle ops, again, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna go and knock out a solo Pinnacle thing because I'm just not that dedicated. Again, it's I could, but then why? I'm not intrinsically motivated by having that achievement. And it's it really is to the point. If there's not an event up, I'm going, so what am I here for exactly?
Yeah.
If it's if I'm on with friends, say we'll go screw around and knock something out and whatever. But this morning, I popped on and I tried to do an onslaught, and we got partway through and then just got wiped, and both people left immediately. Tried to do a match made reclaim, and it put me into. I don't think it was a final boss. I think it was maybe one rotation before, but it was 2 people out of 2 people, 1 revive left, which apparently my joining them used that last revive.
Ouch!
And then they died immediately, so I was trying to fight my way through to get another revive, which I think is possible, which again, I'm not even
you just have to unlock one of the boxes.
And then but I eventually got overwhelmed, and then it put me back in with 3 revives, but then both players had left at that point. Again, it was only it was probably 3 or 4 minutes. It wasn't immediately, but long enough that they probably said this isn't worth my time to stick around for. And so I've now done 2 activities and gotten basically nothing out of them. I think we looted the first boss chest out of the onslaught, but it's just I'm doing match made activities and I'm getting nothing from them because it's just I don't know. It's even the match made stuff is just not reliable or predictable or hey, you've got to keep your controller moving at all times. So don't think you're gonna go make that cup of coffee real quick between missions loading in between running from point A to point B and reclaim or anything, because it's going to kill you practically because you stood still. Like it's just paper cut after paper cut after paper cut, and it's just like, why am I here right now? Like I'm still enjoying the game, but it's hard. Some days it's just like, but the enjoyment is really tapering.
I mean, I haven't been well this week, but when I was feeling a bit up to playing, I loaded up. I couldn't get onto my Xbox, so I loaded up on the PC. And I thought, I'll go and play some Crucible, a bit of Control. That won't be a bit of an issue. I'll get some drops from that, +1, +2 from just getting a B+, or even if we win, we get an A. And I loaded up one match, and I am not joking, 6 players on one team, me on the other. And I was like... It was on Cauldron, and they'd literally capped everything before they came and found me. I was like, where are my teammates? Why am I one person against 6 players?
Right.
And it was that for a good couple of minutes, and then it started spawning in other players. And I was like, this isn't... We got mercied very quickly. And then the next game I spawned in, there was 3 of us against 6, a couple of people left, and it was just... And I could see, I know what people have been talking about with like the player counts dying on Steam, and it's like, if this is Crucible and just this is normal regular Control, I can understand where people have like now kind of not playing even regular Control, and it's like, ow.
This past week is the first time since Destiny 2 launched I've had to wait for games in Gambit, which again, like I think Lucky 10p made a video that used, I think, one of the, I don't remember if it was the Charlemagne bot or one of the bots, sort of showing like, the community and who's playing what, just like at that snapshot in time. And it was like, there's, this many thousands of people in PvP and, 30,000 people in PvE and like 800 in Gambit, like total, like overall. And it's like, no, that feels about right. But it was never a problem matchmaking. It's like, you only need 8 of you. There's not, whatever metrics it uses, I assume is, are you alive? Yes, let's throw you in there. Like, it is never taken long to get a Gambit match. Yeah, maybe you might sit at 7 of 8 for a minute, but it's never like, PvP matchmaking times. It's never like, hold on, we need to evaluate the Guardians and then sit for 5 minutes. This week is the first time where it's cratered to the point where, and again, people are going to say you're playing Gambit. There's literally no reason to play it. You're getting 200 level drops that aren't even tiered. Yes, but some of us need to gild that title again because that's just who their personality is, and they want that 15 from the 14. And honestly, it's still just my turn my brain off and shoot things mode, because I can swap my weapons around. I can try different things out. Like, it feels insane to be like, I can do this and just swap weapons around, try different things. If I'm not feeling this gun, I can switch it mid-match. Amazing. What a revolution. Like, it's just... Yeah, it's rough.
But I did come across a funny thing though this week. Mm-hmm. I loaded up. There was an expedition, and I was playing with Hoops, and we loaded up this expedition, and it was match made, so it was all right. It was like, oh, that's all right. We can. But I think he's only 300 or getting to 320 or something. So I'm 100 light above him. So he's playing in Grandmaster with me, but bringing him up to my light was no problem. But the funny thing was, we loaded up into this expedition. We were on Europa, and it's get the exotic engrams, throw them at the cart, and the cart moves up the hill until you kind of get to the boss. And it said when it was loading in, I was going over with the different modifiers. It said Barrier, Unstoppable, and Overload, and I was like, oh, well, I'll do those 2. You do, whatever you kind of want to do. I am not joking. Right? There was a challenge for doing, I think it's defeat 30 champions. He got 19 done in one run of this expedition. They just kept coming. There was no stopping these champions just spawning in. We were dying as much as we were getting revives. Yeah. But it was unbelievable. I mean, I finished the achievement. I think I only had 15 to do, and he was only hitting half of what I was hitting because I don't think he had Overload.
Yeah.
It was absolutely ridiculous, the amount of champions that were in this thing. And it was I think it was Overload and Barrier to start off with, and then it was Overload and Unstoppable to start off with, and then I think it went to Barrier and something and Overload. It's like, whoa, this is the first time kind of playing it in the portal.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for the amount of champions.
Yeah, I think at some point that was sort of their solution to things. Going, well, let's just throw 1 trillion champions at you, and that'll help you get more revives back. Which, again, fine if you're ready for it, if you're spec'd out for it. But man, again, like you load into something and you come across that unstop ogre or that overload, or anti-barrier or barrier anything, you might be done. Because again, you can't swap weapons. You're locked.
No.
So
Yeah.
hope you brought what you needed to get from the get go, and it says, oh, you might have all 3. Okay, great. Well, I can probably cover 2 of the 3, maybe 3 of 3 if I really want to play with the same 2 or 3 weapons all season long.
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
it's just... which you didn't have to do by playing the game. Just saying, and you could get pinnacle and powerful rewards by just playing the game. You didn't have to have lock loadouts. You didn't have to have all these champion things. It's like, or you could swap out if you came across a champion kind of thing. But yeah, and Bungie, when are we addressing strongholds? When are they getting fixed? Because you've done a couple of patches now, and I think the Warlock stuff's been fixed. The Chromatic Fire, I believe, was fixed last week. No mention of me strongholds yet. I put them on. I thought maybe they've been missed out in a patch note. Still don't work. Just you've turned them into trash.
They have a plan. They have a plan to address them.
I bet they do.
When will they? It's hard to say, but I guess I might as well mention now that we're wandering through this TWAB and talking difficulty and talking things working and not working. They do have a plan. In Destiny 2 update 9.1.0.2, they released on the 23rd. It's all part of their plan. So, they increased the power gains. They made a bunch of changes to Desert Perpetual. Increase the power gains from 300 to 400 power with any number of feats, up to 500 for 2+ feats. Epic Raid further improves power gains from 300 up to the cap with 4+ feats. The raid rewards will now drop at tier 3 with additional feats, increasing your chances. Your Cutthroat Combatant's modifier now counts as 2 feats when determining reward quality. They did remove the weekly lockout for the exotic weapon rewards and legacy raid and dungeon activities.
Yes, they did.
So at least these now have a chance to drop each time their source encounter is completed. So at least there is a reason, if you want to get a group together and say, we're going to farm this dungeon, we're going to farm this raid, to try to get the exotic from there. I mean, the other weapons as well, but they're less useful outside the tier system now. But if you did want to get a weapon for PvP, or that you don't care if it's tiered, or getting those exotics, at least you can farm those properly now, versus saying, oh, I've run my 3 for the week. Now I'm done. Gotta wait till next Tuesday to log back in again. In the portal, they removed mention of the seasonal gear being a factor in the reward score multiplier in the activity customization screen, tooltips, and reports. It's purely a visual change. They had, changed this functionality in the game previously. They fixed an issue where the extinction modifier was not functioning as intended. It can now be selected in Ultimate Difficulty portal activities, and Ultimate Conquest Hypernet and Ultimate Conquest Node Avalon that are available to players. All Reclaim activities have had their matchmaking added as a permanent option. Thank you. Finally. Yep. Briggs will now do actual damage in Reclaim, so maybe there's a reason to use them.
I used one this week. I found 2 popped up when there was just me and Hoops playing, and I picked it up and I destroyed the boss, and then we got to the final round, and it was that Vex Harpy that just transports itself around the map. And I stood on the edge of a ship miles away, just firing at it, and just didn't have to go near it, didn't have to go near the wyverns. It was really good fun. It destroyed it very quickly.
Great. So yeah. I hadn't tried it since before this patch, where it was useless.
I'd never seen it before this patch.
Yeah, I'd seen it exactly one time, and I jumped into it all excited, then quickly jumped out going, I'm going to die immediately. They fixed a bunch of issues where the pressure cooker modifier didn't allow players to receive their time score bonus, or the Tank and Blights were doing too much damage to players with high difficulties in the Whisper Pinnacle op. They were one-shotting you immediately before you could even do damage to the Blights. Fixed an issue causing guitar errors in the Contest of Elder activities, and fixed an issue in the Dungeon Nightmare of Gowron Pinnacle op, which require the Shadowkeep campaign completion to launch. So it's a good thing you can go back and play the Shadowkeep campaign to complete. All right, hold on. No. Also, there's issues with the bells, because Blue and I tried to jump into that, and we were having bell teleport issues. So those are back to still again. Those were back to some degree, it seems. In Trials, they fixed an issue where lobby balancing had not been disabled as intended in Update 9.1.0. So they did have lobby balancing, and then they disabled the lobby balancing, but hadn't disabled the lobby balancing. So now we're back to unbalanced lobbies. That's what you're telling me, Bungie?
Yeah.
Perfect. They fixed an issue in Devil's Lair with the disgrace strikes were unable to be completed. Just couldn't do them. So now you can. The Warlocks got their chromatic firing controversial, thing changes reinstated. The Hunters did get their young Amakara's spine. They fixed an issue where it wasn't granting the correct amount of grenade energy when killing players with an ability. It should now always give the intended 8% in PvP and 33% in PvE before your stat scaling. Titans, they also fixed the, we plan to revert the recent changes to Stronghold in Update 9.1.5. So, Demon, they have a plan to revert the Stronghold changes that they told you they reverted, and then said, whoopsie, no, we didn't actually revert them. We'll revert them in the next patch. And then, no, we have a plan to do them in the next patch. So update 9.1.5, your strongholds should be back to where they should be.
Okay, so is that this upcoming week, or is that the week before October 14th? So October 7th?
That's a great question.
Which week are you going to do it on September 30th? October 7th? Because you said 9.1.5.1 is coming October 14th, so there's a 2-week window there.
Yeah, so probably the 7th. I'm going to guess if 9151, so it should be the week before, hopefully.
Hopefully.
So so come October, those should be reverted and useful again.
Good. Because at the moment they're naff.
Yeah, at the moment there's no reason. Grand Overture, your total reserves have been increased to 58 from 48. I hate how they write the big number first and then the smaller number second. But you can just say increased from 48 to 58. You can go up, I promise you. That has to be a stylistic thing. They've done that forever, and it always short circuits my brain for just a moment. But yes, so you have more reserves in Grand Overture. Graviton Spike, they reduce the bonus AoE damage on stasis overcharge hits versus players from 30 to 1. So much less stasis overcharge AoE from that. Sturm, they touched Sturm. They fixed an issue where the Sturm overcharge shots, where they were buffing outgoing damage from any source, and an issue where kills from sources other than Together Forever weapons were also able to grant Sturm overcharge shots. So I won't say the Sturm is totally fixed, because I'm sure there's somebody somewhere running around with a Sturm that you can still overcharge some other way, but they fixed the big glaring issues. They reverted the nerfs from Queenbreaker. They fixed the issue where the catalyst on New Land Beyond wasn't working. They fixed where lightweight frame sword attacks without ammo, while airborne, allowed players to deal massive damage to targets, disappointing all of us. Rest in peace, the slashing. And they fixed an issue where players could apply the Mida Mini Tool ornament to the Haliatus rocket launcher.
Yep.
Interesting. Had not seen that. That must look very funny. Not sure how you shove a rocket launcher into a Mida Mini Tool ornament, but good job. Hey, they also fixed that issue where the grenade melee stats were giving you less passive energy regeneration than intended. So you should see about 22% more energy for your grenade melee come this week. From the 23rd onward. So now that you're raiding and doing other things again, you should actually be getting the returns from the number you have it spec to versus a 20% difference. And finally, fixed an issue where the Vigilant Seraph Robe's Warlock chest piece would clip into the player's POV while aiming down sights, but just on some weapons. Silver prices for the episode Heresy Stasis Armor set finishers and emotes have been reduced to their intended amount. Refunds for the silver purchases will be provided at a later date if you did buy them while they were artificially increased. They fixed an issue where purchasing the Archive Pass from the Monument to Seasons Pass would not provide chronologs if the consumable inventory was full. Lost chronologs will be provided to those at a later date. They fixed an issue where the Astral Stasis Drake Hunter Cowl ornament could not be equipped, and an issue where the Starside Introductions emblem was not appearing in collections. They also fixed an issue where the cloudy visual effect would appear using the Frosted Retinue ornament for the Mask of Fealty. Oh, come on, the hunters don't get extra clouds when they wear certain masks? Come on, that seems fair, right? Fixed an issue causing these suns Apex Cloak to become unexpectedly cut off when worn. Gotta get a better tailor. Fixed an issue where players who had reached rank 100 on the Reclamation Rewards Pass were receiving Bright Dust engrams as the Reclamation was still active. Oh no, how terrible. The Bungie.net digital reward for opting into emails has been updated to be an exotic engram. I think it was a legendary before. So, yeah, get the emails from Bungie. Now they'll give you an exotic engram one time that you may have done years ago, but if you haven't, there you go. And also, finally, the icons for the recently updated Iron Banner armor set have been updated to match their new visuals.
Yes, they have.
So it should no longer look like the CCL armor set. It'll look like your fancy new-ish armor set.
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of. Whatever we want to call it.
Whatever they called it, yeah.
The thumbnail will now look like the actual armor piece. That's the point. And you still don't have strongholds that work, but maybe one day you will. But don't worry, you get a catch-up chest, Nitedemon.
I do. You can have a catch-up chest as well.
Ooh, I can. So for people who are new or returning to Destiny, we have something for you too. When update 9.1.5.1 launches on October 14th, we'll have a one-time catch-up chest. You can jump right back into the game. You'll get a set of portal gear at power level 300, as well as an amount of unstable cores, some unknown number. And don't worry, if you're above that power level, you will get a powerful upgrade instead. So does that mean like one powerful upgrade or a number of powerful upgrades? So, but that is nice. Again, for people who are either just don't have the time to play or are playing very casually, yes, give people a reason to jump back in. Give them some decent level gear to start with.
That was the other thing that Cheese was picking up on in his videos, which I will link in the show notes, is that if you do grab those things and get to power level 300, it automatically then puts you into master difficulty, which you are then automatically playing stuff at -20, which...
Congratulations, the game's automatically harder. Welcome back.
Yeah.
It's such a system for penalizing you the higher you get. It just doesn't make any sense. We used to get stronger and the game felt easier. Now the stronger you go, the harder things are.
Yeah,
and it doesn't make any sense. But I think it was either him or someone else making the point, going, "Hey, if you're interested in Destiny, wait till the 14th of October. Don't I think don't rush. Just wait till then. At least you get the 300. Have a free chest, get up to light level, or at least to a decent light level."
He was saying, look, a lot of people are saying this is a good thing. This is a good thing, but they haven't actually kind of looked into it. That you're automatically then being downgraded, or your power is going to be -20, -25, -30, and you currently don't have to deal with that. It's just they're improving the matchmaking for Master and Grandmaster and Ultimate difficulties, and I think that was one of their reasons why they're kind of locking these difficulties at that. Whereas beforehand, it's quite hard to have matchmaking at those things and have all those modifiers on. I think that's the problem, is that currently if you go into matchmaking for Master, Grandmaster and Ultimate difficulties, there's a ton of modifiers and stakes that are on that just make it so hard for you to kind of deal with. Whereas they're going, right, we're just going to make it, in our heads, we're making it easier if we just say, oh, it's minus this, and those other things will have an effect, but not too much of an effect. It's still very difficult to do. Whereas if you had a pre-made team, you could set it up with your stakes and maybe a couple of modifiers on there, and it's not as difficult as they're kind of going to make it. That they are going to be removing timers. Timers will be removed from matchmaking portal activities, and the minimum 5% time bonus has been incorporated into these activities. Lock loadouts will be removed from master level quick play activities. They're allowing join in progress for Grandmaster and Ultimate difficulty activities, because I think you found that, didn't you, when you were going to join us at some point? Me and Blue were doing something and it wouldn't let you in.
Yeah, which is interesting because I think the message is basically they're too close. The people, the fire team you're trying to join is too close to the end of the activity, and you guys are going, no, we're not. We just started. We're nowhere near the end, which I'm guessing was just their placeholder text for you can't join. Too bad. But that's a nice change. Let me. If you need reinforcements, get reinforcements. If your friend jumps online, let them come play with you. That's the point of video games.
Yeah. So expert will have 1 challenge, 1 boon, and 2 banes. So master, if you grab the chest, will have 2 challenges, 1 boon, and 2 banes. And then as it goes higher and higher, you get grandmaster will have 3 challenges, 1 boon, and 2 banes. Ultimate will have 4 challenges, 1 boon, and 2 banes.
I would still really like them to make a change where instead of having to click the customize button or the little, info button and then a bunch of icons that I don't know what any of them mean, put words on my screen. Like it would just be nice if I could load up an activity and see what the modifiers were. Even just jumping in like the
you have to hover over them. No, you have to hover over them.
Yeah, no, you have to hover over each and every one of them. And I was thinking at one point, I was like, maybe it's a it's a language thing, so they don't have to translate it. But I was like, no, they still have to translate it into every language they support because everyone has to read what those are. It's just the multiple level of steps to go and do and hit these. It's like, can I just see what I'm going to be encountering? So half the time I just don't look. I'm just lazy and go, I'm just going to load this up and the modifiers are going to be what they are and I'll figure it out later. Because it just, everything feels like a chore. Which is like, it feels like such a small little nitpick, but just why am I working to figure out what I'm going to be encountering?
Well, I mean, if you do get a chance, go and listen to Cheese rants and make up your own mind. But I think he's having a conversation on Twitter at the moment. I think they're responding to him. I'm not 100% sure, but I know there are other content creators out there making videos on his video. There's going to be more changes coming, and expect more details in future twids, apparently.
Yeah, which, I mean, of course, hey, we're going to tell you more things later. I would hope so. That's good. Yeah, I did see, I think, DMG at one point responding to Cheese and somebody else in that thread of just basically, we've got things, we're, basically, we are aware of these things, we're working on these things, like it's all coming.
It is 2 weeks out, so it might change.
Yeah,
but
right.
Again, it's mixed messaging, isn't it? Like, oh, okay, maybe we didn't think that through enough.
Yeah, it's like it's like I just have to wonder, like, how much of this is just sort of the gut reaction. Oh, we have to make sure we can do this right now, and how much of it is like this is part of a bigger plan. Which again, I'm sure it's some both, but it just feels a little bit like, it's a little all over. But yeah, sort of. I did find DMG responded to Cheese. Basically, again, just having this whole conversation of you need to be this many light level below. Well, no, you don't actually. So, DMG did go on to say on Twitter, not meant to be a well actually response, just, trying to have an open conversation. We've been seeing quite a bit of feedback from players feeling they must be at -60 or more to continue leveling and to receive rewards. This initial change is meant to help that. Spending a few hours in a playtest with these changes, we saw some good early feedback. He goes on, he's got some bullet points, less bullet sponginess in enemies, easier to select various modifiers without fear of pushing the delta too far, feels a bit like Pre-Edge of Fate as you take on higher difficulties for better rewards that then fuel your combat. Yes, there's still a delta, but players were earning armor to juice their stats to fuel ability uptimes or getting better perks to handle encounters easier. This is not meant to be a, hey, we made one change and it's all fixed. This is indeed more, there is indeed more work to do. During the playtest, we had discussions about revive tokens, champions, awkward modifier mixes, in quick play content, etc. Appreciate the feedback that's been coming through. It's invaluable to the process. Zero trickery or underlying goals here to force players to dismantle gear. We're looking to improve the systems, patch over patch, rewards, difficulty, and more. Because at one point, Cheese was basically saying, delete your higher tier gear, and then it won't put you quite so high, and then you can do sort of the more low tier stuff. And DMG did share some. I think a screenshot somewhere along the line.
Yeah. I did see that. And I think that's why he made the second video, basically saying that it doesn't matter what level you are in between those kind of 400 to 500 or 500 to 550. You're only still going to be getting those drops, but the game is going to be saying that you're -30. Whereas at the moment, if you are between, say, 400 and 500, and you're putting on the stakes and you're putting on the modifiers or the banes and things like that, then as your light goes up, you get closer and closer to their power if you're under it. you'll be getting closer and closer to their power, to the point where you can go over your power, over their power, and still be getting the +2 and be at their power. Whereas in the future, with this update in October 14th, you're going to always be -30 or -20 or -25, regardless of your power. So you could be at 400, but you're still going to be -30 of what the enemies are going to be. And then as your light gets higher, so does you will still be -25, -30 away from those enemies. Whereas at the moment, you can close that gap with whatever armor and weapons that you put on. It just, oh dear.
Yeah. I mean, but it is good to see Bungie engage in DMG. You know, he does go on to say, you know, someone, Devin Chin was sort of responding to Cheese, saying, I think what Cheese is saying is that people are mistaking what minimum score requirements they need to continue leveling and receive rewards. They say, I'm currently level 546 and have never had to do an activity where I was more than 30 or 4 delta to level. And DMG responds saying, you know, this is indeed an issue we're trying to look at to solve. The system was too complex for the majority of players to understand what modifiers they needed while balancing the deltas. Separating them will help a ton here, but as noted in the initial post, still a lot of work to do. Appreciate the thoughts. So yeah, I mean, just, there is too much complexity for figuring out, what do I need to put on to continue to receive good rewards? And to your point, you don't need to be, 40 or 50 or 60 below for anything to get reward you're looking for. You just need to.
But I think that's the miscommunication. I think that's the problem.
That's what it feels. Yeah, that's what it felt like it was sort of sold to us as. Is you need to be, you need to push this difficulty higher and higher and have a higher delta, and that's the only way to proceed.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Is the miscommunication and the misinformation, or the not understanding from the community, and then, as you were saying, not enough content creators understanding how it works and what it is, what you can do to alleviate that, to get it round to enough in the community. Because it's not like Aztecross has made a video and everybody kind of understands it. It's like there are big numbers in the community. I mean, as Cheese points out, that people just don't understand how to use this system to get the best from it. You think that you have to put X, Y, and Z and be -60 below to get a +2 in light, when you don't actually need to do that. And I think that's the problem, is that, and now Bungie are going, oh, well, we'll just simplify it for you. And Cheese is like, no, that's not the answer. Simplifying it is just making it then harder for us as players, whereas it wasn't that hard before if we knew how to use the system basically properly.
Right. Yeah. And just like this, like the constant changes are almost making it harder to keep up and harder to keep track. Like I said, like we said, every week it's a new version of the truth, and then having to figure out, okay, well, I'm here, I'm in this range, these are the kind of things I can play to get here, to do this, to earn that. And like we don't have the content creators who are basically doing the job of explaining us the nuance of all these, because there's so much of what Bungie wrote is this, however in the game it's actually this, or this is how this is what this means. You don't need to, headline is, you don't need to be -60 to run this. You just have to put on this and this and this, and that will do the same thing. Yeah, we're not having that small army of creators explaining how the game works. And I mean, because it changes every single week. It's just, I mean, like, I understand people who are just like, hey, I'm having a hard time myself keeping up on what the current truth is, let alone every week what the new current truth is, to then be able to explain to people in a way that makes sense and is helpful. Like it is
what it is.
It is.
But Cheese did make another video this week, which was quite interesting, which was to do with questioning whether Bungie are using AI to write some of the lore. And he was pointing out on some of the armor sets and weapons that it just seems very AI-ish, and he put a very good point, towards it, that it could possibly be it, or it could just be lazy writing, I guess. Is it AI, or is it just saying? Is someone saying, "Hey, you've got 5 minutes to churn me out 6 versions of, 6 versions of this text," and they said, "Well, here's 6, nearly identical versions of that text." Yeah, it's so hard to tell. Is it AI, or is it just, "Hey,
I've got this many things I need to write here. They're not all going to be bangers. They're not all going to be great. It's so hard because it could be either one, and it's just like a lot of the flavor text and a lot of the stuff is very similarly worded.
Yeah, or very AI-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be, but I think he was saying that there are certain rules and regulations that if you're a Steam game, you have to declare parts of it are AI. But he said because Destiny's already an existing game, it doesn't kind of fall under that, so they don't have to declare this and that. So it's very suspicious at the moment, especially with like time constraints and the studio going through what it's going through. So
right, yeah. And is it AI or is it overworked people or is it both? And it could be. I mean, it's definitely overworked and understaffed narrative teams and writing teams for sure. But yeah, are they just saying, hey, we're going to slap these together? Don't of all the things that I need to do this week, this is the least important or the least the least vital. That there is text there. Don't worry.
Yeah,
but yeah, and he's been on a tear this week.
He has, yeah. Bless him. I was going to invite him on the show, but I thought it's a bit short notice. I mean, he might have come on.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I think he's on the West Coast, isn't he? Though.
Maybe I don't remember
because I vaguely remember last time when he did come on the show, we had to change the recording time, didn't we?
Yep. We do.
Maybe I'll reach out to him this week and see what he says.
Yeah. See if he remembers us, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you guys from a trillion years ago."
Yeah. But we do have a casting update for Banshee 44 this week. So some Guardians with keen ears may have caught our good old gunsmith sounding a little differently at the launch of Ash and Iron. No, he didn't have another reset. He's still 44. But he's got a new voice actor. In preparation for Renegades, they've decided to recast him. So everyone welcome Ian Gregory as the new voice for Banshee 44. I honestly haven't been to visit Banshee 44, so I'd heard people say that his voice had changed. I just hadn't gone over and said hello.
Yeah, his voice had changed. I went over again after the fact because I normally am not playing with sound all necessarily if I'm in the tower. Or no, I had heard people talking about it, and it's like, yeah, it's very noticeable. His voice is definitely different. But yeah, hadn't really. It's like obviously they recast him. But yeah, it's interesting they say in preparation for Renegades. So does that mean Banshee's gonna do something? Is there going to be a change? So. Is he going to leave the tower and is he going to put that telesto to good use, maybe?
Well, he doesn't have to do bounties anymore, and he's not the arms guy that he should be. We have to go and see old Zavala for our arms stuff.
Yep.
So maybe he's shutting shop and he's out in the world. He's doing stuff.
Yeah. That'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice change to get him out in the world. See if he remains 44 if we move on to 45. Speaking of which, you should go see Shax this week. If you don't log in for any other reason, go get your 700 free Bright Dust and your free Mint Retrograde from Shax. Not Shax. Zavala.
But yeah, you've had to have played last week, so to unlock the different guns.
Details.
Okay.
Yeah, just handing out Mint Retrogrades with decent rolls on them. So
you don't have to go into Pinnacle activities to get a Mint Retrograde. You can just get a Mint Retrograde.
Yeah, no, you can just walk up and say, "Hey, I'd like one of those, please."
Okay,
here you go. Enjoy. And yeah, and they're still doing the 700 free Bright Dust for now until they stop. So I've seen a couple of people mention like, "Hey, it's there." I assume that was part of the makeup since you don't have bounties or pathfinders to pick up and earn it that way. I assume this is part of their, hey, we're going to make good and give you another source.
Or maybe this was drops. Because they made a boo boo with the pricing.
Could be could be that too. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen anything from Bungie about it. I just noticed it. I just noticed it was there, and it's like, oh, I don't know how long I'll be there for, but I'll take a free 700 Bright Dust a week.
Yeah,
that's a no brainer. Like I told Noble, I was like, if for no other reason, you log in this week, get a free Mint Retrograde and your free Bright Dust, at least free Bright Dust, because there will be something you want to buy and look pretty. Because as we did mention, they did, I think DMG did say the Taken set will be available for Bright Dust, and I think maybe the class item was available for Bright Dust this week. Would maybe you have a video that could tell us what we should be buying this week? What beautiful cosmetics we can have?
Yeah, at the moment we're still doing the collaboration armor for The Witcher and the malware sets as well. So I believe that's for the next couple of weeks, and then we've got Halloween after that. But yeah, it's not in the database as yet.
Okay. Oh yeah, it was a malware armor. Yeah, because I saw something that looked taken-ish, but I wasn't paying close attention to it. Figured I would just
I'll
wait
let you
for
know
it.
when that turns up. I will.
Why not? That's what I figured. I figured this will also be a nice spot to drop in that lovely little video that tells people what you should be playing, seeing, doing this week.
This is your weekly rundown for the Edge of Fate, week 12, starting on September 30th. Week 4 of the Asher 9 update continues this week, as we fight back the Conductor's forces in the 3 Plagueland Reclaim missions. In the Portal Crystal Ops this week will be Competitive, Control, and a variant of Cutting Edge, with Trials of Osiris at the weekend. Other non-featured modes of 3v3 Dominion and 6v6 Clash can be found over on the Crucible Director. In the Solo Ops we have Skywatch, the Salt Mines, the Conflux, Creation, K1 Logistics, and Caldera. In the Fighting Ops we have the 3 new Reclaim missions, Cabal's Watch, Conductor's Keep, and Fallen Bunker, Battlegrounds Behemoth, and Episode Echo's Core, 3 additional strikes of Hypernet Current, Insight Terminus, and Fallen Saber, 3 expeditions from Season of Plunder, Nessus, Cosmodrome, and Europa, with a returning episode Revenant Tomb of Elders. We also have the Strikes of Liminality, the Devil's Lair, Proving Grounds, the Inverted Spire, and the Glassway. Battlegrounds Oracle, Foothold, Delve, and Conduit, Empire Hunts the Warrior, Technocrat, and Dark Priestess, Savathun Spire Offensive, Onslaught Widow's Court, and Midtown, with the Coil. In the Pinnacle Ops we have the 3 dungeon layers, Pit of Heresy beneath the Necropolis, Duality Nightmare of Goron, and Warlord's Ruin Heaven's Vengeance. Exotic missions Presage with the Dead Man's Tower Exotic Scout Rifle being the main reward, the Season the Haunted, and opulent weapon sets, plus the Idolian Pursuant armor set, Node Override Avalon, with Excalibur Exotic Glaive being the main reward, and the Season the Defiance weapon set, Starcrossed with the Wishkeeper Exotic Bow being the main reward, and the Season the Wish weapon set, the Whisper with the Whisper of the Worm Exotic Sniper being the main reward, Kel's Fall with the Slayer's Fang Exotic Shotgun being the main reward, and Encore with the Choir of One Auto Rifle being the main reward. On Kepler, featured mission 1 this week will be Quarantine, and featured mission 2 will be Message. This week's challenges are Expedited Violence, Grandmaster, and Bring a Sword. For our Legacy rotation, the Dreaming City this week is at a strong curse level, which means Petrovenge can be found in Ria Silvia and has the Dark Monastery mission for the next week. The Blindwell features Taken Enemies and the Plague Oinamina. The Ascendant challenge will be the Keep of Honed Edges over in the Harbinger Seclude. On the Moon, the weekly story mission is in the Deep, the Trove Guardian is located in the Hellmouth, while the Wandering Nightmare is the Nightmare of Hawkis in the Anchor of Light. Nightmare hunts Fogoth, Fear, Ghoul, Rage, and Tanix Isolation. The Altars of Sorrow will start this week's rotation with the Nightmare of Fogoth and the Blasphemer Shotgun. On Europa this week, Praxisi Technocrat will be the Empire Hunt, Cadmus Ridge will be the Eclipse Zone, and the Exo Challenge will be Safeguard. Dares of Eternity Expert difficulty rounds are Hive, Vex, and Valister Arc. The Scatterhorn armor set and the Pathfinder armor set will be available in Dares of Eternity with weapon set 4. Fractithis, Chrysia Milo, Volpicula, Wolftone Draw, Iotona Draconis, Canis Major, Contingency Plan, Legal Action 2, Outrageous Fortune, Steel Syllabus C14, and Spoiler Alert. The Witch Queen Weekly Story mission is the Communion, Altar of Reflections Catalyst, and Altar of Reflections Insight. The Wellspring activity will start the week on Attack, with the Arc Auto Rifle Come to Pass and Goldmag Hive Ogre as the boss. The Lightful Weekly mission is First Contact, the Partition mission will be Hard Reset, and the Vex Incursion will be Liming Harbour. In the Pale Heart, the exotic mission Dual Destiny is still available for teams of 2 Guardians, where you can farm the mission to earn as many new prismatic exotic class items as you like. The 12 Guardian Matchmade Excision mission is also available, with the Grandmaster version granting the Ergo Sum Catalyst and an Ascendant Shard. The Lost Sector rotation for this week will start with Exodus Garden 2A on the Cosmodrome, Chamber of Starlight on the Dreaming City, Excavation Site 12 on the EDZ, Perdition on Europa, K1 Crew Quarters on the Moon, Gilded Precept on Neptune, the Conflux on Nessus, Extraction on the Throne World, and the Forgotten Deep in the Pale Heart. With the Edge of Fate, all raids and all challenges are now available all the time, and at present there are also no featured raids or dungeons each week, and the Ashen Iron update this past week now allows you to farm the raids and dungeons for their respected exotic weapons, with no weekly lockouts. The new raid, the Desert Perpetual over on Kepler, has now been updated with a normal and epic version, with both dropping tier 3 plus loot. The Sundered Doctrine dungeon can be found over on the Throne World, with the exotic linear fusion rifle Finality Zager up for grabs. The exotic mission rotator will be Presage, with the Dead Man's Tale exotic scout rifle being the main reward, the Season the Haunted, and opulent weapon sets, plus the Idolian Pursuant armor set. The exotic missions, the Whisper and 0 Hour will also be available in the Legends tab. And that's it for the 4th week of Ashen Iron.
But we do have a burden of guilt in trials this week. So the fusion rifle is back, and I think this is AI. It says has some great perks for both PvE and PvP. You said the same thing about Iron Banner with that hand cannon. You keep saying these things. Is AI writing this TWAB each week? Maybe.
Is it AI or is it just autocomplete? Trick question. It's the same thing.
So we've got Javelin for Sirius Plaza and Endless Veil on rotation for the maps, which is quite nice. But I do like it if it is just one map normally, because it throws me. I get used to kind of the one map for the week, and yeah. Well, we'll see. I might do some streaming this week on Tuesday and play a bit of trials. See how I feel. If I feel up to it.
See if you can get your new fusion rifle that I know you're definitely looking forward to using and good at with PvP like the rest of us.
Yeah. Displates are back. You can get your Destiny 2 metal posters from Displate. They are back in stock, I guess. I didn't think they'd ever gone away, but they're there.
Yeah, just reminding us they exist. Maybe there's some new ones. Maybe they're on sale. I don't know. But there's a bunch of different ones. If that's your thing, go check them out. If it's not your thing, don't check them out.
Now, this week, I did tweet at DMG. I asked him a question. Has anybody said that they know about this in the known issues? Is there any player support that could answer my question, or do we talk about it after because it's not discussed at all?
I don't know. I'm curious if my new favorite issue that I forgot to mention last week is in the known issues.
Well, let's have a look.
Let's see. Let's see what we have first. Then we'll see what we found in addition.
Yeah.
So Chronologue's issues, we have our known issues list, as always, our player support report. We have, however, lost our little witty intros to the player support report. So that person also apparently has gotten sacked. So no
That's
intro,
AI.
no witty thing. We're just here to tell you about it. So don't put your chronologues in your vault. Just don't do it. They're investigating an issue where players put chronologues into the vault will lose any additionally claimed chronologues. At this time, we recommend not putting chronologues in the vault. And to take any of them out, if you were to put them there, they'll give us more information when they have some. So chronologues, if you're going, I don't even know what that is. Those are the new materials they gave us to basically pick up things from the past, your past season passes. There we go. In the tower. So if you were putting those in the vault, don't. If you have everything from all the season passes and are like, I don't need another exotic or any materials, put them in the vault. You may lose them. I'll leave that up to you. But if you're interested in them, don't put them in the vault. You have room on your character, right? Just delete the tiny box of raisins. It'll be fine. Just put the chronologue there instead. You'll probably get more use out of it. Maybe. So yeah, don't put those in your vault. It's a bad idea. Banshee 44 now only has 2 daily bounties available. Incorrect, Bungie. He has 3 he has 2 dailies. He has an additional bounty that I think we went from being able to buy none times, and you could just throw 3,000 Glimmer into the Abyss, to I think you can buy it once, and now you get one of them, but then additional purchases, you will just throw 3,000 Glimmer into the Abyss. Which they do, to be fair mentioned. His repeatable bounties are not being claimed as intended. So they've gone from it being completely broken last week to now you can buy 1 additional repeatable bounty, but that's it. So maybe next week you can buy 2, maybe 3 additional bounties. Or if you're just not buying bounties at all from Gunsmith, good on you, because I'm not sure why I'm buying them. They're there. I like turning things in. They make me feel good. Clan reward engrams cannot be claimed by players over 500 power. Listen, you're over 500 power, you don't need them.
No.
Your clan is not helping you out. You're the one leading the clan. Don't worry about it. Players who did not earn the 3rd iteration exotic while it was available are unable to progress past Guardian rank 6. That's if only there was a kiosk, you could put that in somewhere. One of these many kiosks that maybe you could use a
problem is
on.
that it's still technically part of this season, but it's not part of this season because we've got an Ashen Iron season pass, which isn't really a season.
Yeah, because
it's an extension to the season of Reclamation, which is still called Reclamation everywhere in the game. Because if you go to your ships, your ghosts, any kind of thing in your collections, it still says Season Reclamation, Season 27, whatever it is, and it's all the stuff there, but it's not. Because they think the game, half the game thinks it's in a different season, the other half doesn't know.
Yeah, it's such a weird, again, like we talked about last week with the weekly challenges now being, hey, you can't do these weekly challenges because those weeks are past, those weeks are over. It's like, but we're in the same. Why can't I?
Nope.
Those aren't for you. So yeah, turns out if you just splice a season in half for no good reason, you're going to break things. So good luck getting past Guardian Rank 6, which I'm sure holds you back from
getting
things
tier 4 and 5's a bit easier,
Yeah.
I think. I think.
Maybe, is that where you can unlock more loadout slots in your, or is that?
I think that was old.
We get the in-game slots, yeah. So yeah, you're stuck at Guardian Rank 6, so enjoy that, I guess. Your combination blow is not consistently granting class ability. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Hey, your enhanced reservoir burst is not granting its intended bonus to magazine size. Sort of like our enhanced recycled energy wasn't giving us recycled energy. This just isn't giving you more magazines. Revive and return to orbit after wipe behavior can be inconsistent in reclaim activities. This is basically where they said, hey, remember how you couldn't revive at all in the game? We fixed that, but the reclaim activities are still acting up, so reclaim is still buggy. All match made, but still buggy. Some players cannot complete the reclaim missives discovered seasonal challenges. Players are also unable to complete the pinnacle missives discovered 3 seasonal challenges. I assume these are both related. Players can sometimes be killed immediately upon respawning in the Nightmare of Galron Pinnacle Op. Maybe that was the bug we were running into.
Maybe
it wasn't the bells. Maybe it was something else. I don't know. Because it was the bells trigger the respawn action or something, and that was killing us. I don't know. Either way, we bailed out of that quickly. And rewards earned for completing the Fallen Saber GM Conquest are going directly to the Postmaster. At least they're going somewhere.
Yeah.
As opposed to being spawned elsewhere and going to the Postmaster. So now they're just going to the Postmaster, or at least that's what they're telling us. Yeah, so those are the known issues we know about officially.
What was your issue that you had that they haven't spoken about?
Oh, mine is more of just a good time fun issue, where I noticed if you were to go to Rahul, I was previewing the various exotic weapons and exotic armors you could buy from the different seasons. And I was looking at Red War, and I was like, those look fine. Those look a little funny. And then I pulled up the later seasons, because the Red War, they're grouped into all the helmets, all the arms, all the legs. I pulled up the other season, which just has all of the exotics available, from that season. So often a full set of armor, or most of a full set of armor. They're currently previewing all of them on top of each other. So if you go to Rahul and basically preview the all of the Lightfall armors, it shows your Guardian with all of them on at the same time. And I noticed this because I was on the Titan, so I had the Wishful Ignorance, which is a big green set of arms. And I was like, that feels weird. Along with, I think, the Hoarfrost Z, and I don't remember what else. But it was a very weird, so if nothing that's useful or anything that does anything in the game. But if you've ever wondered, what would I look like if I was wearing 3 or 4 different exotics? You can go to Rahul and just preview those and have a good time laughing at your Guardian that looks very silly with a whole bunch of different exotics on. So that was one I ran into end of last week that I forgot to mention on the show. So what have you run into that's been plaguing you this week?
Well, it was the same kind of thing that I was last week, is that if you're doing your Guardian ranks, there are certain challenges that you have to do to get past each one. And I think I was talking to you and I was talking to Blue about it, and I'm not sure if I mentioned it on the show last week, is that to get to the next rank, I needed to have done 15 challenges. Last week, we'd only had 14 challenges. If I'd done all of them for the first 2 weeks, well, I say first 2 weeks, it says week 9 and week 10 of Ash and Iron, but it should be week 9 and week 10 of Season Reclamation. But where they cut the first 8 weeks off, and I did my large pile of Bright Dust to get all of those done. I think it was 72 out of 78 or something. So I'd done all of those. for the first part of Season Reclamation. But because I hadn't progressed my Guardian rank to the point where it took into account that I'd done those first parts of that season, where I then progressed into that Guardian rank in the latter half, in the Ash and Iron part, it then said I needed to have done 15 to progress to the next rank. So I had to wait to this week to actually do them. I got to this week, did the one or two that I needed because I didn't do the Rift one the first week. So I'd done them, progressed to the next rank, and the next rank says, I need to do stuff in ultimatum mode, which isn't a problem. I could have grinded my face off this week to get to the point where I'd unlocked the ultimatum mode to then put on the different modifiers. But the thing that's now holding me back is that I need to do 25 challenges. And I tweeted at DMG and I said, look, can we just agree that this is stupid and it's got to be kind of taken out of Guardian ranks? Because either you acknowledge that I've done enough to do the Bright Dust in the first half of the season and it's just automatically checked, or it's just removed. Because if you add up the amount of challenges that you can do, and say that I'd done all 7 the first week, all 7 the next week, and I've done, I think it's 5 or 6 this week, it takes me to, I think, is it 6 this week? It must be 6 this week because it takes it to 20 challenges. So you'd think I'd be able to complete it next week. Oh no, next week you've only got 3 challenges. So it takes it to 23. So I've got to wait another week after that to be able to do 25 plus challenges, which is absolutely ridiculous because I've already done the challenges for the season of Reclamation. Because if it's not taking into account what I'd previously done and it's saying it's a new season, then surely my Guardian rank should have been reset for the new season. But it's not. It carries on. And like I was saying with the ships, the sparrows, the ghosts, all come under Season Reclamation for the stuff that's still coming out now of part of Ash and Iron. And although we had the challenges cut off and we had a different season pass added, which has now caused another issue with the exotic that you should have done to get past Guardian rank 6, which again is stupid to have to say you've got to have picked that up and you've got to have fired it and killed so many enemies with just to get past the Guardian rank. Just unbelievable. Just
just so many, like, again, it's one of those, like, these decisions were clearly planned and clearly made with a plan in mind, but it's like, did we just not think through all of? I mean, again, and the game is massively complex. Like, it's it's a whole pile of things on top of other things. But like, did we not think through the differences of putting just slapping a season and a half? Like, why? I just don't understand, like, why they would do that. Like, you've had the seasonal model. The season begins and like, there's a lot of things that rely on that. Why would you all of a sudden just slap a season in 2 and go, we're going to put this in 2 parts because reasons? Like, it just doesn't. It's like just the unforced errors of it all. It's like you didn't have to do this. This was purely a cell phone. You did not have to split the season arbitrarily in half. You could have just left it alone, and we wouldn't be having these problems.
But like I think they were saying in the Destiny Digest with somebody that had bought Season Reclamation when they bought the Edge of Fate, that it then caused them an issue because Ash and Iron thinks it's another season when realistically it's not. All you've got is 3 reclaim missions and an exotic mission that's coming in a couple of weeks. It's like there's nothing else to as a season from what seasons were. This is just an update to the existing season. So it looks like a money grab thing. And it's also then causing issues because you've programmed the game to say, right, this is a season and this is a season, but your Guardian ranks can continue from this point to this point, but shouldn't really. If it's a season to a season, it should be per season. They've made things worse for themselves by trying to make things better for themselves. I'm at a loss. Just
it's like if you just left seasons alone, begin and end the seasons as we all expect a season to begin and end, like, we wouldn't be having a lot of these problems. I mean, not to say, again, it's not a one fix, one change. Oh, the game is fixed now, everything's great. But like, just these unforced errors of like switching these things around, like, for what reason? Like, why do this weird half season? Like, why draw this arbitrary line between them? Like, I just don't get it. It's just such a weird, like, why? Like, do did not enough people buy the season pass, and now you're like, well, maybe we can get, maybe people will buy just Renegades, and now we can maybe get some more money that way. Like, it's just, you made changes and obviously didn't fully test the changes because you don't have a QA staff, you don't have enough people, and now we're just dealing with progression breaking issues that didn't have to exist.
Yeah.
It's like what more could you say? Like there's the issues that are here because of issues, and then these issues that are here because you made a change that didn't need to be made. And now we're all trying to work around those.
Definitely.
Yeah. But those are their issues. Those are our issues. We've got Crota in Lego as artwork, and movies of the week. And that's the end of the TWAB. So that's what Bungie has for us this week. TWAB patches. They didn't give us a preview of other things they're going to fix, but we can all assume they're we're getting update 915 probably next week, if we're getting 915 the week after that. So then Demon will get his stronghold fixes, presumably.
Hopefully.
Maybe. Possibly. So yeah, that's coming at some point, sooner or later. I guess we'll see if we have any. I know we have a little bit of news this week. I can't remember. Did you put a couple things in? I know I put a few things in, and now I
think
remember.
I found an update to something that you found. Because you brought up last week, didn't you, about the output that I think it was, again, Cheese brought everyone's attention to, the output in Russia or that area of gamers not being able to log into the game. And it's gotten even bigger than I think what Cheese expected it to be. It just looked like it was an outage to start off with, but it's a lot bigger than,
which is its own just weird bit of news. So because Cheese had shared last week. Yeah, someone had reached out to him who he credited, basically saying, "Hey, the game has just been out in Russia and Eastern Europe entirely, since the Action Iron update, with just not a word from Bungie, not a acknowledgement, not a update, nothing." And they're like, "The game is unplayable. It is out. It is down. You cannot access the servers, and just nothing, just radio silence." So. We could all sort of guess at what was happening, maybe. And I saw Lucky 10P put a video together that I think it was on TikTok, so of course I didn't grab it, talking about things. I appreciate his news coverage, but I wish sometimes he would credit where he was finding some of these stories. So I went looking at the sources he had found, because he had found basically where he was looking at basically player counts by country. And so I found there was an esports.net/news/Destiny 2 player count from, I think, which had numbers from, February of this year, I think is when they said the numbers were from, of basically, hey, total countries playing Destiny 2. So the global popularity of Destiny 2 is made up of percentage of players from each country. Here is the top 5 list of countries with the highest percentage of players. And so, United States of America, 26.11%. Makes sense. That's where the game's made. There's a bunch of humans here. Number 2 on that list, Russia, 10.98%. And then Germany, 6.8%, Brazil, 5.93%. And then the United Kingdom of Great Britain, 5.56%. So you made the top 5. Good job.
Yay.
Yeah. So these countries only represent, 55.38% of Destiny's active players. So, everybody else is obviously in the rest of, Europe, Asia, Latin American countries. They don't mention Australia, New Zealand, but our friends down there on the other side of the world. So yeah, but so if we've now taken out a full 11%, again, give or take, of the player base, all in one go. I mean, obviously the game is hemorrhaging players, just on its own. But if you're just going to take out, call it 10% of the player base just in one go, plus however many people aren't in Russia proper, I think Belarus was also listed. I saw another source, and I don't know what other Eastern European countries are sort of served by those servers or classified in that group that now cannot access the game. that could also account for the game's, player dip again. I'm not saying that this is the sole reason. It is by far, but just losing 10% across the board, is a big, giant number of players to just dump. And I've seen people saying, Steam was getting refunds from Steam for the game that they now cannot play. And so I went looking, and I don't remember, because it seemed weird. I'm not entirely surprised that something happened in, the Russia, Belarus area, because, there's an ongoing war, there's things happening in the world.
Yeah.
There's companies in countries who can't can't necessarily work with, companies in those regions. But it's like, but I was like, why Ash and Iron? Like, what has happened recently? And I still don't really have a good answer to that. I'm guessing my purely speculative guess is something with Sony, something kicked in and they were like, hey, we need to take action on this. Because I found, and I can't remember if I saw this, I think I saw this referenced. Maybe it was Lucky Tempe, maybe it was somewhere else.
Yeah.
Bungie, way back in March of 2022, tweeted, Bungie stands with the people of Ukraine and everyone impacted by the ongoing war, starting today. Now that is March 9th, 2022. Starting today, we will be working with our partners to suspend all Destiny 2 sales and commerce in Russia and Belarus.
I vaguely remember that, yeah. And I think we questioned it at the time. Would they then shut down servers? Would people still be able to play? Because there was a lot of kind of restrictions being put on Russia and those areas to kind of squeeze them, even though I think we said at the time, the players aren't the ones that are in the war. The players are the ones that are playing and not being involved in the war. But
yeah. So why, what happened from March 9th, 2022 to when did Ash and Iron come out? September of 2025. Did it take 3 years to work with your partners? Is that what I'm guessing? I'm guessing something about Sony's ownership, or some clause kicked in, or somebody realized that, hey, they this was never done or never complete. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, again, why now of all times? I don't know, but this seems to be, this from all indications seems to be the impetus behind, they've finally taken action on players in these countries, which again, they're not the ones waging war on Ukraine, but they're the ones getting hit for it. And I saw you would put in people were getting full refunds on games they can now no longer play because they're in countries where now it's blocked all of a sudden. I don't know if Xbox and PlayStation or Microsoft and PlayStation are doing the same thing, but yeah. So for whatever reason, now seems to be when they've decided to block all the players from Russia and Belarus and potentially other Eastern European countries from the game. So yeah, that seems to be why, at least why that's happening, instead of just, oh, there's an outage, which still sucks that if you were playing the game happily or maybe looking to raid race or just, doing something you enjoy, to suddenly have it taken away from you years after the fact. And I haven't seen Bungie say anything about, hey, this week we've taken action on this, or hey, we've finished implementation of this. Like, there's nothing. Again, I haven't gone back and looked from now to March 2022, but I went looking for any report, any official Bungie source anywhere, and I have seen nothing about any of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that seems to be why, at least. So I guess that's good. Yeah. It's like, why now of all times? What happened in the last couple of weeks where we said, hey, remember that thing we said we were going to do 3 years ago? Let's finish that.
Yeah.
So let's see. So what else do we have? So Steam is issuing full refunds for Destiny 2 Edge of Fate and Year of Prophecy Ultimate Edition after Bungie blocked access in multiple countries with no prior warning, from the game post. Yeah. Destiny Rising has generated $9 million in revenue, says report. Now, is that good revenue? Bad revenue? Are they hoping for more revenue?
Are they going to feed it back into regular Destiny?
Right. Yeah. It's like how much of that money goes to Destiny? That's what I'm, somewhat curious about. It's like, obviously, this is a NetEase game. This is not a Bungie game. No Bungie devs are working on it, but they've licensed the IP, obviously. So but do they get an ongoing cut of the success or lack thereof? Again, I don't know if 9 million is good or bad. I don't know. It says report. Great. Is this a good report? Is this a bad report? I don't know.
its report.
Yeah, so it's reported. They've made some money. Good, I suppose, because money is important for a company. And then what do we have here from Sneaky Beaver? So he says it only takes 30,000 unstable cores to upgrade a weapon from 200 to 550. So if you wanted to upgrade armor on all your alts to 550, you need 300,000 cores for just one set of armor on each. If the currency is going to be this crazy, can we at least get a converter to, turn things into it? That's a lot of cores.
You only need those if you're going to be doing high content. But then,
yeah, and that's.
I think I think at that point the issue is: does the game then think because you're on your alt character and the power for overall is, say my character's at 420, but my hunter's still maybe level 10. Does it then think that my hunter should be 420 and I then can't access the activities because I need to infuse up to that power level? Or does it, I don't know how that's going to work. Do I need to bring up my alt characters?
Right. And that's honestly something I have not even considered the entire season. Like obviously I remembered cores were a thing. Like I knew they were a currency, and I saw the little, blue greenish, rocks pop up when I dismantled things. Not once have I looked to see how many I have or had or what I have no idea. I mean, yeah, so I'm sitting about, I think I've just gotten my first 400 piece to drop, like one or two of those at the tail end of Iron Banner. So I just went to go look. I have 145,578 unstable cores. I have no idea if that's a lot. I have no idea if that's a little. Like, honestly, it is a currency I have literally paid zero attention to since its release. And yeah, I mean, I've deleted a lot of gear. I was playing Iron Banner, basically saying, okay, this first row of gear, we're going to delete that. These tier 2s and 3s, those are the lowest numbers. We're just going to delete that armor. Like, I'm just not going to, scrutinize every single piece. Like, I've got vault space for it, but I'm just not going to scrutinize every single piece. I'm just going to delete it and not worry about it, not stress about it. So again, I don't know if that's a lot or a little. Like, I have, I've been infusing a good number of things. Again, it's a currency I have no idea. Or if I was grinding my face off and I was at 550 and I had, tier 5 armor and I was trying to upgrade it all, it's a lot of materials. Kind of makes sense if it's going to be a lot of materials, but it's like it's a big number, but I don't really have a way to gauge. Obviously, that seems like a lot. But to your point, do you need to? Is there a reason to? Yeah, I don't know.
I've slowly been doing it across all three characters, but I think the fear is at that point, if you've just been focusing on the one character and then you say, right, for the rest of the season, I'm going to go back and play that, and your account takes into account that that one character that you've got is at 425, but the others are at 10. It's going to be quite hard. Yeah, I think you're going to have to play through the campaign to get to a point of being quite high. But yeah. Just sort of. I mean, it's like an interesting data point, but it's like, but why? To what end? To how? To who? And like you said, other than doing it because you love the game or because your income's tied to it, which again I can't fault anybody for. But it's like, why grind to 550 at this point? So that's and most of the I was just looking to see if any other news roundup stuff. Most of it was just, hey, the game's up, the game's down. We had bad errors. We're gonna try to do a rolling restart of servers. That seems to have fixed it. Nothing else really happening. It was mostly Epic Raid week. Hey, the Epic Raid's coming. The Epic Raid's coming. I did get sent a message by someone calling me a cheater in Gambit in 2025. Really?
And I thought that, like, on a game where I wasn't even this was this week. So like post, I mean, was I running around with a sword nuking primevals last week? Yes, I was. What was I quick fanging things to death quickly? No messages last week. This week, where I'm just running around with like I think it was my Threadling Warlock build, like that Plunderer put out. Like I wasn't even the top of my team. Nothing I had done was stand out. So I don't know if that person just messaged everybody or what. But I was like, why? Why are you calling me a cheater in this instance? Like, I'm not even doing that well. I'm not the one winning over here. It's just the world's a wild place. I was like, who's cheating in Gambit in 20? Like, to what end? There's no reason.
Oh dear.
So I know we've already talked about a couple of videos that Cheese and folks have put out. Anything else that you've seen that's worth covering?
Yeah,
mentioning,
I mean, I'll go through them.
discussing?
We've got the Clyde video. Bungie wants you to stop playing their game. That's the one going over the raid stuff. And then the two Cheese Forevers, Bungie has me spiraling with a new example of how Delta is worse. And his original video, which is Bungie is tricking you, it's a lie. I also then have the video. I watched the Lucky 10p version of the Glad video that you watched, where he goes over what Glad was saying. I'll include that as well. Why Threadlins might be better on Prismatic than Strand. Datto, I think this was 8 days ago, but I only watched it this week because I was interested in the threadling builds that you were talking about last week with Iron Banner. So I've been using those again this week. I started at the beginning of this week using those. So I was looking at more threadling builds, and the threadling build that Datto presents is pretty good on Prismatic. So I'll include that because that's a really cool build video.
The threadlings are a lot of fun. It's
Yes.
so much fun on the Warlock just to spawn 1,000 threadlings and say, have at it. Go for it.
I also watched, there was a video from My Name is Bife this week. Everything in Destiny is on fire and he's tired. So here's his lore thoughts. So that was quite an interesting listen to about his view on what's actually happening. But then I actually watched a really cool lore video from Evase saying they're back, something big is happening in the city. And he's talking about what the implications are on some of the weapons. I think it's the new exotic weapon that we've got on the season pass has the main bit of lore that is leading us into what's actually going to be happening in Renegades. And it's really interesting with, I think it was the Concordat, which was the faction that we got in, it was the hidden faction in Destiny 1 with the, I think it was a Sparrow, wasn't it? In Destiny 1. And then they have secretly gifted us the Skimmers in Destiny 2. And there's more kind of lore implications for that. That was a really cool video. So I'll link that. I'll link the video that Cheese was talking about for the AI stuff. And Legola Flash came across a bug that is quite fun. And I came across it in, I think, when I was playing Iron Banner last week with that new heavy crossbow that is just, it's a random chance for it to drop. And I got it in a reclaim mission before Iron Banner. Took it to Iron Banner because you said you were having good fun with using it in PvP. So I was using it in PvP. And I didn't pay any attention to it, but I was getting headshots with this heavy bow. And yes, you can go and pick up your arrow again and carry on with the same arrow. But there is a bug with it that Legola Flash has come across where it will also drop a heavy brick. And there are some instances it works and some instances it doesn't work. And he's trying to figure out how it's kind of coming about. And he was like, well, if I did this and I was above this in weapon stat, it would drop this. And he wants more people to kind of add to it so that they can actually find out why it's giving you an ammo brick as well as the arrow that you can pick back up. And there are certain requirements for it. So that was quite interesting.
Yeah, I watched that one too because it's just like, it seems to be like a brick only you can see. So like an additional brick at times, but only in certain situations. Yeah, which I thought was fascinating. Yeah, I played with it a little bit again just to meme with it because it's a ridiculous heavy crossbow and in PvP. But yeah, it's good fun.
The final video that I'm going to recommend this week is from Fallout Plays, where he just says what I think we've been saying for quite a while is Bungie should fix Destiny by just breaking it, because if you break it, people come along and have fun like we had with the swords last week and the Sturm and the Drain. People were playing the raids. People were doing stuff in the game, and the more people that found out about it, I think were coming back to just play the game for that. So if they intentionally break the game, more people will come back, I think. So yeah, he's got a whole video on that. Yeah,
it's worth coming back for just to, again, to have fun, to do silly things. It's not all about struggle and trial. Sometimes you just want to have a good time and go wail on things with an empty ammo sword and melt bosses. It's really fun.
Yeah. So that's mine for this week. What about you?
Yeah, well, I think I saw again Legola Flash is back because I had seen the heavy crossbow video I was going to talk about if you hadn't. I think I've only got two that you haven't covered because I watched Cheese, I watched Bife's. watch Dado's. Again, the follow the sort of the normal people that we always watch. So I saw that Llama has covered the 6 new meta perks that you haven't heard of, and he's right, because I'm going, there's a lot of new perks on guns. I don't really know if they're good, if I should use them. So he goes over 6 of the the new perks we have with these new weapons, and just, hey, are they these are the 6 he likes and thinks are good, and calls them meta. So if you've been trying to figure out what all these roles are and people just aren't making a lot of weapon videos or review videos, at least that'll tell you what some of these perks are and how they work and what seasonal artifact stuff it can work with. Maven would like to talk to Bungie about some problems with the shooting range. Just she's a big reviewer of things and reviewer of weapons and build making. So she's like, hey, I've spent a lot of time in the shooting range. Here's how I would improve it, and just has a number of improvements for it. A big one that I've seen a lot of people echo is, hey, it would be nice to have a guardian you can spawn in the shooting range, because there's so many things that either work differently in PvP, or you just want to try a PvP build without having to go find a second person to bring into a private match. So it'd be nice to be able to spawn a guardian in there, or at least a guardian facsimile to say, hey, let me try this out. Let me see how this would work in the Crucible. Also, a lot of things with it'd be nice to have like an orb vending machine. There's a lot of things that you pick up an orb, or you pick up orbs and it does this. Let me see how this works afterwards. So just having some of that stuff be available in the shooting range would be nice to test, of all these different things in the game that you sort of still can't really test in the shooting range. It's a great start. Like it's a wonderful addition.
Yeah.
But just sort of a, hey, this is great. Super happy to have it. If we were to do another pass on this, here's what we would like to see. We, Maven, we the community. And then just this morning, as we went to record, I see that Grenader Jake has just put out his video, Goodbye Trials. And I saw he put I think, just to put a text message basically saying, hey, like, this is the last weekend I'm going to play Trials for the foreseeable future. I mean, this is someone who, I mean, he is, I would say, the Trial streamer. Like maybe he and Frostbolt, or I think I remember him talking about, I can't remember if it was a stream clip or a YouTube video where it was. I saw it, a while ago, basically saying, I've rode this wave of Destiny 2 and Trials for the last 10 years, maybe, or, close to it, basically, putting a lot of things in his life on hold to take advantage of, as he puts it, this marvelous opportunity, to be able to, he's just so thankful and grateful he's able to, play this game and make a living out of it. And just, it's been, the game has been so good to him, and it's given him so many opportunities, and, he's been able to do so many things. But now it's, but there's also a lot of things that have suffered, a lot of relationships, things he had to say no to be on Trials every weekend, all weekend for years, which like I knew he was there all the time, but I never had really thought about what that means to the rest of your life. To say every weekend I'm going to sit and play this game, for all day, for hour, whether it's 8 hours or 12 hours, whatever, but to devote myself to this for that long is just a wild accomplishment and a wild commitment.
Yeah.
But, even he has sort of hit the point of, hey, I think the time has finally come where, this wave is crested and it's time to make some changes. Just, so he just put out his video this morning about that. And I just saw, as I was just refreshing Twitter to see if Bungie had reported anything else, I see Gathalion posting, are we going to get to the point where Dado doesn't Destiny? Question mark. So yeah, that's where things are going. That's where the vibes are. Yeah. How long before Dado doesn't Destiny? But that's what I've got. Yeah. I was mostly just watching poor Cheese crashing out over the game going, come on guys, come on. Like, are we thinking through this? But I think we've hit the point where we have to thank our lovely patrons.
We have.
Our marvelous people like Renard Calant, collector of all things cats, who cannot be threatened with a good time. Our grenade throwers of Golden God 1562, Noble, the man Conan from Texas, and Feral, who may or may not have a cat collection. It's hard to say. But they do enjoy dad jokes, so you should send them all your best dad jokes. It's important. I see them all cowering away in fear. So, Demon, thank you for joining us. You're a Titan. I'm a Titan. We're your Titans. We're here. We've done your show. You can find the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're everywhere. Just search Two Titans and a Hunter. And email the show, twotitansandahunter@hotmail.com. Subscribe on YouTube. You'll get every new episode, every 801 video, Eververse video, tell you what's upcoming in the game, place your bets on what the Crucible modes are going to be. That's all good fun. You can find this show in all the show notes, which include all the videos we talk about, the sites we link to at twotitansandahunter.com. If you want to join the Otter Dance Troop, threaten us with a good time, throw more grenades, patreon.com/TTAH. If you're looking for a more casual encounter and just say thank you for all the good work you do, telling us about things and finding people who are also telling us about things, coffee.com/twotitansandahunter. And as it is into September and later, you should go to twitch.tv/twotitansandahunter because there is streaming. There are things happening. And you should watch and maybe even play along if you're free. You know, come along, have a good time. We'll do things. It'll be a good time for everyone. And yeah, until next week, tell the people goodbye.
Goodbye.
Two Titans and a Hunter, a Destiny 2 podcast.